We have just barely left Afghanistan. It's been a few days, but not a lot of people in positions of power in the media and in politics are happy about it. They liked it. They liked the money going to military contractors. They liked the cushy gigs advocating for never-ending forces in places like Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're chafing already at the new situation. Here's Lindsey Graham being interviewed on the BBC about what is inevitably going to happen from his point of view when it comes to Afghanistan.
Here's my point. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you believe it's Trump's fault or Biden's fault, here's where we're at as a world. The Taliban are not reformed. They're not new. They have a view of the world out of sync with modern times. They're going to impose a lifestyle on the Afghan people that I think is going to make us all sick to our stomach. But most importantly, they're going to give safe haven to Al-Qaeda, who has ambitions to drive us out of the Mideast writ large and attack us because of our way of life. We will be going back into Afghanistan as we went back into Iraq and Syria.
Hang on, are you seriously think the United States will once again, in a foreseeable future, put troops back into Afghanistan?
We'll have to, because the threat will be so large. Why did we go back to Syria and Iraq? Why do we have 5,000 troops in Iraq today? Because of the caliphate rising, projecting force outside of Iraq, killing Americans, killing the French, attacking the British. So yes, it will be a cauldron for radical Islamic behavior. You cannot deal with this over the horizon.
Okay, so he's saying it's inevitable, Francesca, and he seems so broken up about how we might have to invade again. He just hates the idea of it. Why? Because cauldron, because Islam, because threat. We have to be everywhere because of the threat. We should never think about why we might be threatened, what might be producing these things. We should just keep doing whatever we're doing. And if we ever feel scared as a result of it, we should do whatever we want to do then. It's worked brilliantly for the past couple of decades. And if Lindsey Graham has his way, and maybe he will, maybe his buddy Trump will be president again in a couple of years, they're eager to go right back in there. What do you think about that?
I mean, quick follow-up, Lindsey. Are you banking on going back into Afghanistan? Because it kind of sounds like you want there to be more acts and attacks of terrorism. No, do you have friends in the private security industry? You homies, when's the last time you had brunch with Eric Prince? Cool, yeah, last Wednesday, that's what we thought. It's almost like you're rooting for the terrorists because you want us. That would allow you to make good on this promise of sending troops back and children who are not yours to go back and die for some BS, right? And this is another thing we need to follow up with all his ridiculous line of thought is, how did ISIS form in the first place? Let's think about that. This is not ancient history. This is because when you invade and occupy and pit warring factions, religious factions, deliberately pit them against one another, as the United States Army did in Iraq, ISIS is what happens. When you arm tribal leader, when you arm warlords, when you sort of willy-nilly just like ally yourselves with terrible people, that's what happens. And then, this is an added bonus. You give everyone a beautiful political cause, which is let's get rid of the Americans. Amazing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It never ends. The weapons contractors get richer, ISIS recruits more people. It kind of makes you think they're on the same side because they're both rooting for more war. So, I mean, honestly, this is the one area.
Politicians get money.
Politicians
they get
get money
with that money. They suffer no consequences. They get cushy gigs outside of politics when they're finally done with it. It works well for them, not everybody, but for them.
It takes, I'm sorry, but I hate to say this, but President Biden had some real BDE with the Afghanistan pullout, which I know is a weird way to phrase it. The point is this: I stand by this president over his decision to leave Afghanistan. That's not an easy thing to do. It's easy to escalate war. It's easy to send other people's children to die in war. It's not easy to say, we've done enough, we're scaling back. Now, I'm not saying that Biden won't step into the legacy of Obama, which was expanding drone strikes. And by the way, Trump expanded drone strikes even more than Obama did. We just don't talk about that. But it's really important that we hold this president accountable to say, not only are you withdrawing from Afghanistan, but stop drone striking civilians. Stop, that is going to give more fodder and more cause for more extremism. And if you say you're against that, then stop.
Yeah. Well, look, your diagnosis is obviously right. And all it takes a person to come to the conclusion that you've come to is just watching everything that's been happening for 20 years. But he has existed for those 20 years. How much has he learned? Well, let's see. He said in that video we showed you, they attack us because of our way of life. No, that was stupid 20 years ago. Like, that's not how it works at all.
Yeah, but you don't know how Lindsey Graham's living now.
That's true.
You don't know how he's living.
I don't. It's not
they hate me because I make a real big, large banana float sundae. It's a banana float and a sundae at once. And then I watch Real Housewives for 7 hours straight while holding the Bible.
I don't like
and they
that.
Hate that. They hate the banana and the sundae, and they hate the sprinkles. They hate the sprinkles. Have you ever seen the Taliban eat a sundae with sprinkles? That's why they hate us, and that's why we have to go back in.
I like the impression, but I'm too angry right now because it is such obvious BS. And I guess the guy at the BBC had too many other things to ask about. Like, you can't ask about everything, but I don't know why. Like, the idea, it is so childish. The idea that they're sitting in Afghanistan and they're like, did you see America? They just eat cinnamon buns like as a meal. It's ridiculous. They have a whole restaurant that just sells cinnamon buns. I'm gonna kill them. Nobody does that. Nobody thinks like that. They persecute their own people for BS. Yes, they do that. And we do, by the way, as well. Nobody, and so like if your dumb cousin said that, it would be annoying enough. If your dumb senator said that 20 years ago, it would be annoying enough. But to have them still saying the exact same thing they said to get us into the war that we've been in since before some of the people watching this program were even born is insanity. And they're powerful. Lindsey Graham is still a senator. He still has power. He doesn't need to know anything or understand anything, but he's still saying the same things.
Yeah.
Now, there's a little bit more. I want to play this next video and then we'll give you our thoughts. Here's his solution to what's going on.
Here's my solution. Help the resistance in the Panjshir Valley. The Taliban will not be able to govern Afghanistan. They're hated by the Afghan people. What's going to happen over time is you're going to see the resistance rise. ISIS will come after the Taliban large, and the entire country is going to fracture in the next year, creating a perfect storm for Western interests to be attacked. You can do one of two things. You can say, that's no longer my problem, let it build and get hit, or hit them before they hit you.
Oh, good. Oh, we'll just do this and the Taliban will fall apart. In a year, it'll be a perfect storm. Okay, good. Oh, so why didn't we do that? Like with the 4 years that Trump, it's so stupid. They're just saying the exact same things they were saying in 2000. That's it.
No. He just said, we wait for the West to get attacked. That if the Taliban is allowed to fall, that it would be great because then there is more susceptibility to Americans and other Western folks to be bombed, killed, maimed, and then that would give us a perfect excuse to go back in. That is exactly what he's saying. He wants there to be more terror attacks on the United States. That is what they're banking on. It is so cynical and evil and scary. And then the last thing I'll say is, look, super fast. Trump released a bunch of ISIS-K members from Afghan prisons, convinced the Afghan president. Why don't we talk about that? That directly contributed to the attack that we already saw.
Great point. Yeah, we'll see if he gets his way. They're gonna be in power again, so we'll find out. Maybe we'll reinvade.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.